All right. Hey, everybody. My name's Richard, and welcome to another episode of the MakeCode Arcade Advanced stream. This till today, we're continuing our Falling Bird episodes. So if you're watching this on YouTube, go back a few videos and start from the beginning. But if you're watching it live, yeah, we're glad you're here. You guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Daryl from the Mako team. I'm at Darzu on the forum.
I'm Shannon from the MakeCode team. I'm at Shakao on the forums.
And I'm Joey from the MakeCode team. I'm at JWonderl on the forums.
All right, so we don't really have anything planned today. This is going to be our last day of doing the Falling Duck changes, and then we're going to start up something new next week. We haven't really decided what it is yet, but we'll keep you guys posted. So let's kind of just go over what we've done so far in the Falling Duck game. I'm going to play for a little bit. Does someone want to explain the changes we've made?
Sure, yeah. So the base Falling Duck game that you get when you click on the game on our home screen is you are one duck and you have these gates coming at you from across the screen. And if you hit a gate, you die. Game over. So first we added multiple lives for the duck. And then we added the ability to get a life every 10 points. And then Daryl modded the game so that the lives are represented by these eggs that float behind you. And also there's a cool animation when you die, so the egg hatches. Then we added different kinds of birds. So there's a chance that you'll get a hummingbird egg, and then you'll be a hummingbird, which has different abilities from the duck. And then yesterday we added a difficulty ramp. So the game starts out easier with the gates further apart and wider, and then slowly the gates get closer together as you play.
Yep. So I haven't gotten any hummingbirds yet, which is kind of lame. But we've just hit 30 points, so we've now gotten the closest together that the gates are going to get. And we have the gates are starting to get closer together. I'm sorry. Oh, there we go. I finally lost a life, and you got to see the cool hatching animation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'm not sure we're going to get any hummingbirds. Let's just wait till I get to 40. Okay. So right now it's an 80% chance that you'll get a duck, and it's a 20% chance you'll get a hummingbird. And so let's go down to our list of ideas and just talk about what we're going to do today. So these are the things we've already done. I know that one thing I really want to do is the changing environments and biomes. So the idea is right now it's all kind of visually very similar as you go through the game. It would be nice to give the player a sense of progression so that if like they get a certain number of points, now it's a snow world or something. And then I also want to add another kind of bird because we only have two kinds of birds right now, and let's add another one. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
All right. So let's start out with creating biomes, I think. So what should our second biome be?
Could be snow, could be
Underwater, could be
underwater.
a dungeon.
Wait, it could be snow, and then the gates could be snowmen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds easier to draw.
Yeah, I can just use the circle tool. Okay, that sounds good. Let's do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is yesterday, I keep saying last week, we refactored our gate code for spawning the gates and put it into this function here called spawn gate. And I'm going to do another refactoring real quick because now we're going to be doing this image choosing thing a bunch of different times. So I'm just going to make a function just for choosing the images for the gate. And that way we can really easily switch between the biomes. So go ahead and create a new function. And what's a good name for this?
So I see. Is this creating a biome or is it creating a gate in a biome?
It's just creating a gate at a point in time. So if the biome's snow, it'll be a snow gate. If it's still forest, it'll be a forest gate. If it's a volcano, it'll be a volcano gate. Mm-hmm. Not signing myself up for drawing that, by the way. All right, I'm just going to call this create gate image for now. And let's go ahead and move this back down to where we were working. And I'll zoom in the workspace in a second. Our code is getting pretty big at this point.
Mhm.
All right. So I just basically want to take this whole if statement and drag it out here. And I realize right now that I'm going to have to pass this gap as a parameter because I don't want to have this pick random a bunch of different times. So let's go back to our function. I'm going to click on it and then right click and choose edit function. I'm going to add a number input and I'll type gap. And so this will give me a nice little local variable called gap right here. Now I'm going to drag this one out, and I believe it is option. There we go. And so now we have a bug in our program because we didn't call this function. So I'm going to go into the functions category and drag out a call block for this. And we're calculating our gap right here. So I'll go ahead and pass, instead of using this variable, I'm just going to pass a pick random directly.
So parameters on functions work just like extra fields and parameters on blocks, right?
Yep. Oh.
Are you gonna have to swap out that global gap with the local one?
I see.
Is that gonna work? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. We might have encountered a bug in MakeCode again.
Yeah.
Should work.
Yeah, it seems happy.
So what did we do there?
So usually when we're using a variable, it's going to show up in this variable categories here. And when I moved that code over here, I was using a variable from this category, this gap variable.
Mm-hmm. And these are global variables.
Sorry, what was that?
These are global variables, right? Everything in that category.
Mm-hmm. So all variables in Blockly are global unless they come from a block like this. Mm-hmm. But when I refactored my code right now, I moved that to be a parameter for this function. And so I need to use the one that comes from the block, which is this gap right here, and I can drag it out.
And this one's a local variable.
Right. I can only use it in here. If I were to put it in here, it'll just pop out.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always tell if it's a local variable by if you hover over it, you'll see a dotted line. But also if you just ever see one of these red ovals inside of a function, that's generally what it means. Okay, so I've finished this refactoring and I'm going to go back to onStart and I'm going to create a variable and we'll call it biome. And we'll set biome to 0. And now, just like before, whenever you're using numbers to represent a bunch of different things, it helps to just make a little guide. If I was in JavaScript, I would be using an enum. But because we're in blocks, I'm just going to create a comment, and we'll keep track of our biomes. So it starts as 0. So 0 equals forest. And we're going to say 1 equals snow. And so that we're testing right now, I'm going to go ahead and change the biome from 0 to 1 so that we start with the snow biome. Later, we can make it so that maybe when we hit a certain point threshold, it'll change to the next biome. All right, so we want to basically duplicate this code, but with different images for the snow biome. So I'm going to right-click and duplicate. This will create a second copy of this. And I'm going to grab another if statement. And this if statement is going to switch over our biomes. So I'll go into logic, drag a comparison block. And then I'm going to get biome out of the variables category. And so if biome equals 0, that means we're in the forest. So we want a forest image. Going to add an else if clause. let's say if biome equals 1, I'll put this code in here. And so now we have basically the same game as before, but we've got some images we can swap out. So let's play the fun game of watching Richard try to draw some stuff.
Excellent.
So I'm going to keep these images the same size, and this is going to help us keep the hitboxes consistent. They'll be a little different because we do pixel perfect collisions. So the only time that you get a collision triggered is when a colored pixel from one sprite overlaps a colored pixel in another sprite. Transparency will not cause overlaps. So even though our image is a little bigger than the actual size of all of the pixels, you'll never get a collision in this top row, for example, as it's all transparent. And let me go ahead and erase all this. Now I'm going to grab the circle tool, make my brush small again, and create a big old circle. This is the smallest gate, so I think I'm just going to do 1, and the next is going to be 2 and 3.
Nice. So these are snowballs, like a snowman?
Yeah. Try that. Do a little shading. And we'll wait till the snowball shows up. There it is.
Nice.
So that looks pretty good, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It'll look better once they start getting closer together and it's farther up. But
Yep.
right now it's kind of cut off at half. So I'm just going to do all the bottom images first, and then I'll do the top images because we might want to do something other than snowmen for the top images. Icicles.
Yeah, icicles.
All right, let's do the next one. Forgot to just change to the circle tool. There are also keyboard shortcuts for switching between tools, but I have forgotten them. So Joey might know them though.
Is it C for circle?
That sounds plausible.
Joe, you're muted.
Let's see. I forgot them since we switched to the new ones.
Yeah, that's also what happened to me.
Do we not have tooltips for them anymore?
We might. Let's see.
Nope.
So do we think our snow biome should do anything other than, like, in addition to changing the sprites?
Yeah.
Well, we also have that Blizzard screen effect.
That's true.
Oh, and it'll make sense here.
Yeah, it would actually make sense as opposed to normally.
I think there should be some gameplay difference. Maybe the icicles fall or can fall.
So it could be like wind. Or
Oh.
This one's not going to have a mouth. Only the big one's going to have a mouth.
Wait, what about the carrot?
buttons. Buttons.
Neat nose.
What? Buttons? Oh, wait. Did you ever make a snowman with buttons for eyes? Be honest.
Oh, no, I meant down his body.
Oh, okay. Hmm?
Yes.
Let me make him a little less square.
Yeah, this is a good snowman.
Come on, I want to see the new snowman. There we go.
Nice.
All right, 2 more to go.
Maybe this one should also have stick arms.
I will do my best. I know the last one's going to have a top hat.
Wait, so where did we land on additional gameplay mechanics for snow level?
Yeah, I think it's totally worth doing. Let's wait till I've finished.
Oh, nice.
Don't want to distract Richard. These are looking great, Richard.
Yeah, it's coming out surprisingly well. Turns out snowman's one of the easier things to draw. Let's see. Oops.
So as far as different gameplay elements, one could be icicles falling. Something, any other ideas of things that could happen?
I mean, I like icicles falling.
The
Are you
snowman
picturing-
could
Oh, go for it.
move or reach for you?
Are you picking the gates falling or like additional icicles?
Guess it could go either way. Maybe the gates falling so that they create a gap above them, so you have, and maybe you have a little bit of warning on whether or not they're gonna fall.
Yeah, like it wiggles or something, right?
Yeah. Is this the largest one?
Nope, there's one bigger.
Does that one get a carrot?
I'm gonna give this one a carrot too. That one's gonna have a top hat.
Ah, nice. I feel like we're seeing snowman generations, not just birds anymore.
It's important to have thematic consistency across all aspects of your game.
Is that a good carrot nose?
Yeah.
I love the sticks. Oh, nice. There it was.
All right, and now let's do Papa Snowman.
They seem so much friendlier than the logs.
Is that because they have a face?
Probably.
We could give the logs a face too.
They also look-
I'm not a miracle worker.
I think it also seems, not so bad to run into a snowman compared to running into a log.
Yeah, because if you were to run into a snowman in real life, you would just be like, you
That
would
was fun.
go through the snowman and then all of its clothes would be on you. And,
Yes. How that works.
Snowman physics. Ah. All right, let's try and draw. Oh, let's try and draw a top hat. This is not a good top hat. I've actually
like
drawn
it.
top hats in pixel art before and did a much better job.
What's wrong with this top hat?
I don't know. Looks a little weird. Is
I
it
don't like it.
uneven?
I mean,
No.
The left side's off his head slightly. Yeah.
it doesn't need to be perfectly symmetrical. One is snowmen are often a little wonky.
You show me an asymmetrical top hat, Daryl.
No, the top
No,
hat
it's
was
symmetric.
symmetrical. It was not placed symmetrically on a snowman, which is fine.
Oh, true. Yes. And of course, no snowman is complete without a scarf, so this snowman will never be complete.
I was excited for a second.
Got my hopes up. Yeah.
Yep, that's what I was trying to do.
How about a red scarf? I feel like that would be pretty easy.
Maybe you could, so you hit the snowman level after a certain number of points, and then after a certain number of points, it's the end of the snowman level, and you have to do a boss battle where you fight the biggest snowman who does have a scarf.
Well, with the amount of time I'm spending on snowman drawing, I'll be very impressed if we get to that point. Personally, I think it's worth it. Good snowman makes a game.
Yes. Creating the art for a game is a very big part. I kind of liked the expression.
Mhm.
Mm. All right, I'm going to try this real quick, but if it doesn't work, I'm going to bail out. Nope.
No, what? That looks great.
You can just go behind his neck or shoulder.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely seems like an evolution.
All right, cool. Let's do icicles. Those should be much easier. I'm going to base these off the Darker Duck game,
Mhm.
which I drew stalactites for.
And this one, they won't be invisible.
Hey, that's a bug. How's that?
What are the white bands?
Like
Huh?
ridges?
Yeah.
Bridges? Okay. Let's see how it looks. Sometimes.
I should have done a big one first. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this as it, and we can tweak it later.
Yeah.
if it looks bad.
Nice.
I'm going faster on these than the snowman because I feel like we should do some coding. Oops. Oops. Third time's the charm.
Nice.
All right, last one.
You could try copying your last one and then changing the height.
It needs to be taller though, right? It's all right. I got a rhythm going.
Okay. I believe in you.
I'm using a trackpad for
Oh.
anyone who's wondering.
Have you been using a trackpad for all of these?
Yeah, well, I only have one mouse and I have to use it on my desktop. Means you don't have to care too much about the art because it's going to be bad no matter what. All right, let's see how our snow biome looks.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah, not the best icicles, I agree, but they'll suffice.
It's a very like you know, the sword hanging over each snowman's head as you go
Yeah.
through.
Daedalus. These are all Daedalus snowmans. All right. So we've got our snow biome. Do we want to do the gameplay stuff now?
How about the blizzard effect?
Oh,
I feel like
sure.
That's super appropriate.
So the screen effects live in the scene category. And I'll go ahead and drag out this start screen. And I'm going to change the argument to Blizzard. And I'm just going to put it right there.
Is that gonna restart it every time?
No, it'll handle it.
Yeah.
Okay,
If it's the same effect, I have that handled.
nice.
Yeah, this looks like a nice winter wonderland.
It does.
Yeah,
Maybe we could do a different, like a dark background color. Could that look nice?
Yeah, to like differentiate from the regular a little more. Or we can make the regular one a different background color.
I like the classic background color. Let me change it for the snow biome and see. So I'm just putting these here right now. I'm going to move these when we actually do the code to switch biomes.
Oh.
ooh,
Oh, that's the same
Yep.
color as shading.
yeah,
Oh.
the eggs and stuff.
Tangent. Oh,
Yeah,
How about-
it's
Dark
here.
Blue?
Pink like a sunset.
yeah. I guess we don't use pink that much.
What did you want me to try? Dark blue?
Lose some shading on the icicles.
They
But I
honestly look a
think-
little better. All right, votes.
Black.
Joey,
Oh, blue looks fine to me.
Shannon.
Blue?
All right, we're going with blue. All right, cool. So now we've got our winter wonderland. So let's go and talk about the gameplay differences yet. I'm not going to do the biome switching code yet, just because we want to keep testing it right now. So we'll keep the biome as it is. So I like the icicle falling down idea. How does everyone feel about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So what's a good way to indicate that our icicle is going to fall?
A wiggle.
Or maybe little like bits of ice will be sort of trickling down the whole time, and then
Why not both? It's like the wiggle is the traditional platformer. Something's about to fall on your head, signaling. But I do like the idea of little bits of snow also coming down, and I think we should be able to do that with some of the particle effects.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we create our images, but over here is where we create the actual sprites.
Mhm.
And so we want to take this top sprite right here and apply effects to it. And so I'm just going to write the code here. We might refactor it later to make it a little cleaner, but
Sounds good.
let's do that. So if biome equals 1, and we don't want every icicle to fall, so
And percent chance. Yeah.
drag out an and block, and like Daryl said, we'll do a math percent chance. And for now, let's just set it at 50, so we get a decent number that are going to be falling down. And we can tweak that once it turns out to be way too many.
Mhm.
All right. So now let's go into the animation category, and this is how I'm going to do the shake effect. So far we've been using two different types of animations. We've been using the legacy animations down here, just because that's what Falling Duck came with, and it's pretty useful for this type of game. And we've also been using animating the image, which is right here. But there is another type of animation that is called a path animation. And so this will cause it to just follow this path for a certain amount of time using the interval. It's very similar to the image one, except this time it's controlling the movement rather than controlling the down. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to animate the projectile, and I'm hoping this will work. I'm a little afraid it's going to collide with the velocity, but we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do the shake animation.
Where do our icicles go?
I think you can see them flash very
Yeah.
briefly at the start of the screen, and then they.
Yeah, it's not working together.
Yeah, I don't think the shake's going to work, unfortunately.
We can make
But-
it shake when it's over top. How would we do that?
But it always needs to have velocity.
You could Ooh, this is a little tricky,
Could
but
use
you could
an
define
image
your own.
animation.
You can define your own shake that also moves it to the left.
Yeah. So here's a fun fact. The animation API actually takes in a string. So we give you a nice little drop down of different presets, but we have a string. And I'm going to ask one of you guys to go look up the SVG path documentation so that you can remind me which commands to use.
Yes.
But what I think it is lowercase m means move relative to your current position.
Correct.
To move 1, 0, move 0, 1, move 1, move 1, 1, or no, wait, move -1, 0, and then move 0, -1.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're still disappearing.
Loop on, or does that matter?
Mhm.
Why are they disappearing though?
I'm wondering if it's the auto destroy.
Implementation.
Oh, because they're technically projectiles.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's test that hypothesis real quick. And if this doesn't work, we'll just do a different solution that I know will work, but will involve a little bit more code. So for the icicles, let's turn auto destroy off. Nope. All right, well, that's lame. Let's do option 2, which is, so if biome equals 1 and 50% chance, I'm going to set the kind to something else, and this is going to be icicle.
Mm-hmm.
Oop, wrong block. So the kind is used for anywhere that we're trying to reference a group of sprites. So we use it in all of our overlaps. We also use it for checking a few other things and kind of keeping track of our player state. But for here, I'm going to change the projectile. I'm going to go to the kind dropdown. I'm going to click add a new kind. And this one will be falling bicycle. And that's all fine and good. But now you can see that if I do not lose a life when I collide with ones that happen to be falling icicles. So I'm going to have to go to our overlap event, which is right here. Luckily, we already refactored this into a function, so it's going to be really easy to duplicate. All right. So now we've got our velocity. But we also want it to fall downwards, right? So, sorry, now we've got our overlap handling, but we also want it to fall downwards in addition to going sideways. So just a reminder, in falling duck, the duck doesn't actually move on the x-axis. It's the gaps that are moving that way. So what do we want to do here? Let's just try setting the velocity first and see how that goes. So I'm going to set the Vy, which right now is set to 0. Change this to projectile. And I want it to be positive because positive is down.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I think we want it to delay just a little bit before it starts falling, right?
Actually, I think it'll be harder to delay because right now it's the gap above is bigger right now. If you delay, the gap above will be smaller.
It could fall a little bit faster.
That's true. The little one.
I like the delay because then you can't quite tell what kind of icicle you have, so you have to react a little more.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do a delay then. And just to make this testing a little easier, I'm going to change this to 100% so that we have just falling icicles. Cool. So when we were doing a delay before, it was for the invincibility frames for the sprite. And I think we can just do the same thing here. Basically how that worked was we created a separate kind that was called the state after it had started falling. So we've already created this thing called falling icicle. I'm actually going to create another icon, another kind that is going to be one before that, which will be icicle about to fall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to create another kind. That's a mouthful, but it tells you what it's doing. I'm going to get rid of this velocity. Well, actually, I'll leave the velocity block here, but I'm going to change it to lifespan. And we'll put the delay at like half a second. So now we can see after about half a second, they start getting destroyed. Should the delay be a little more, do you think?
Let's just try this and we'll see how gameplay goes.
True. Okay. So now this projectile lifespan, by the way, I should have explained this, is milliseconds until the sprite is automatically destroyed. And so that might sound like not what we want because we're destroying the sprite, but what we're going to do is create another sprite in the same location that is going to be falling downwards. So let's go ahead into the sprites category and we're going to drag out an onDestroyed event. So we have onDestroyed sprite of kind. We'll change it to icicle about to fall. So when this is destroyed, we want to create another projectile. So I'm going to create another projectile using this block. I'm going to set the velocity to be the same as the velocity from this sprite. So I'm going to drag out a property access block. And this is another instance of a local variable. So I'm going to drag out the sprite and put it in here. And I'll change this dropdown to VX. And I'm using this top image right now, but that's not actually what we want. What we want is to get the image from the sprite. And that is
way at the bottom. Yeah.
And I think I had the VY at 60 before.
Mm.
Okay, well, it's starting to work. I forgot to set the location. So
do you need to set the kind as well? So I'm trying to think what happens. It runs off the screen and then it'll get destroyed and then will be created again.
Yeah, this time it'll just be a regular projectile.
yeah, so actually, I don't think we need to change it at all.
Yeah, we don't even need the old.
Oh, yes.
Snowman.
What was happening was I was changing their location because
Ah.
my code was in a intermediate state. All right, so now my icicles should be getting destroyed. And this isn't working. What did I do wrong? Ah, yes, I'm setting it to XX. Should be XY.
Oh, oh.
I feel like this is going to be very hard.
Well, that's why we, we'll play with the timing to make it a little easier, right?
Yeah.
But actually, this timing feels good. So if we just make it so that few icicles are falling, I feel like this is a decent challenge.
Yeah.
Right.
What about once, the difficulty of everything ramps up and everything is closer together?
Yeah, well, this will only happen when we're in the snow biome, which I think we're going to do at a later point. So yeah, you might be right. Let's go ahead and add that biome switching logic right now. Well, first, actually, let's change this percentage to something that makes a little more sense.
Sounds good.
What do you think?
20?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I feel like we were missing some. Oh, is it just the gap?
Yeah, it's just the gap.
Yeah.
The little ones are too little.
So it won't be an issue once we're actually switching the biome when it's in a later difficulty, right? Because the gap will already have closed. But all right, I've only seen one fall so far.
It's only a 1 in 5.
Man, got a bug.
There we go.
Oh,
There we go.
Well, with true randomness, sometimes that'll happen.
Yep.
We often get questions about whether or not the random in MakeCode is actually random. It is. If you were wondering. We use, in the browser, we just use math.random, which is not cryptographically secure, but it's good enough for us. And on the hardware, we do use pseudo-random generation, but we seed it with something that is random. So you should get a pretty good random, regardless of if you're on hardware or if you're in the browser. Okay, so we've got our icicles that are falling. Let's change the biome now. So what's a good point, you think, to switch over the biome? Maybe once I don't know, what's a good point total?
It could also be if you get more than a certain number of lives.
ooh.
So then, because the snow biome is now harder, I think, than the regular biome.
But then I think that some people will never see the snow biome, and that's kind of sad.
That's true.
But
Yeah.
if we set it at a high value, some people will never see the snow biome too.
I think points is good. Seems like
All right. Let's go to where we changed the score, which should be in the right here. And let's grab out another logic block. Do an if statement right here. Grab out a comparison block. Go into the info category and get our score. And we'll say if score equals 20.
Sure.
Is that too soon?
Well, the
Probably
ramp
too soon.
finishes at 30, the vertical ramping, but
That's right.
25.
cool.
And let's change the biome. So we'll change biome by 1. All right. Let's see how long I can survive for. I feel pretty confident I can make it till 25.
Got a hummingbird to help you in the snow biome. That'd be handy.
Probably going to need it.
I don't know if the falling icicles means you have to move vertically a lot faster than you would have before.
Right.
So maybe it reduces some of the hummingbird's usefulness.
All right. Well, while I'm doing this, we're getting close to the end of the stream. So do you guys want to come up with a name for this week? Here you go, 25.
Oh,
Whoa.
awesome.
Oh, geez. Snow biome. Whoa. I feel like I made the icicles a little too big for the big ones.
That looks tricky, yeah. I'm impressed, though.
You're doing great.
I'm pretty good at video games, guys. Ah, no.
Oh.
My street.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, jeez.
Boy.
Oh.
Oh.
Just clicked it.
Yeah, this seems pretty rough.
I guess we could make it rotate every
I
25.
feel like the
Goes back.
minimum spacing should be just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree.
All right.
Falling icicles, snowman generations.
Falling bird, world. Any other ideas?
Well, mine was going to be like Falling Bird International, so I think about the same.
I like
Ah.
International more than Falling Bird World. All right, let's go with that one. So change it to 9th stream, and then we're going to go to Falling Bird International. Did I spell that right? Yes. All right. Well, I think this is actually one of the longer streams we've done so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for joining us again. I'm going to plug it as I do every stream until Monday. We're having a game jam right now for what the theme is One Room. You can go onto the forum to find all of the information. We're doing it through itch.io. And yeah, go ahead and make an entry. It doesn't have to be super polished, or you don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Just like totally get a game and get it into the jam. And we're going to hopefully do a blog post at the end that collects some of our favorites. I know at least 2 MakeCode members are currently working on their games. So. Anyway, so like I said, next week we're going to be starting something different instead of Falling Bird, but we're still going to be doing arcade coding. And we might be trying some other experiments down the pipe, so we'll see what happens. I'm Richard, at Richard on the MakeCode forum.
I'm Daryl, at Darzu on the MakeCode forum.
I'm Shannon, at Shakao on the MakeCode forums.
And I'm Joey, at JWonderl on the MakeCode forums.
And thanks so much again for tuning in. See you next week.